From Miller Waldrop Studios, this is Campus Live.
What's up, Campus Live fans? It's Lane here in the Miller Waldrop Studios today to bring you another edition of the Guns
Blazin
podcast, episode number 22. As always, I'm one of your hosts today, and alongside me for today's episode is Mr. Jordan Godfrey. Jordan, how are you doing on this beautiful Friday here in Lubbock, man?
No complaints, my brother. It's a good day. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. It's been a pretty eventful week here in the 806 for some Texas Tech sports and obviously around the country as well. You got the NBA and NHL playoffs going on as well. But we're going to be discussing all things, kind of updating you on the Brendan Sorsby lawsuit case, men's basketball, some roster updates, and, of course, Texas Tech softball in the midst actually of Game 1 versus Florida in the Super Regional right now, winning 2-1. But first, before we discuss all those subjects, we just want to thank every single one of y'all for tuning in every single week. And we just ask that you make sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you're seeing our content on any of our social media platforms, wherever you're seeing our content at either the Guns Blazin podcast or, of course, Campus Live TTU, and as well as thanking all of our sponsors for the Guns Blazin podcast. First, with Roof Masters of Lubbock. Fans, with storm season now in full effect here in the month of May, make sure to check out Roof Masters of Lubbock if you have any sort of roof damages to potentially prevent, obviously, home damage from bad storms. And then, of course, we just wanted to thank our other sponsors with JSI Industries and the Exceptional Community Hospital here in Lubbock. First, Jordan, we have gotten a ton of news on the Brendan Sorsby, really this whole entire deal this past week. He filed a lawsuit. We found out his eligibility status, obviously some other things that we found out along the way in his filing. But he was declared ineligible earlier this week, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, by Texas Tech, and then filed an immediate lawsuit against the NCAA for full reinstatement here in Lubbock County, with the judge of the case originally being Philip Hayes, who is a Texas Tech graduate. But first, before we get into that and that whole entire discussion, I just kind of wanted to talk about really what was filed in the lawsuit, because it's a very long document, but there are a few major key points that were found in this filing from Sorsby's legal team. We found out that Brendan was gambling on things such as Romanian soccer, hot dog eating contests. He was truly addicted, and it says that his addiction first started when he was at Indiana, when he was betting on his team in a non-detrimental way to the team, wasn't betting against them. He was only betting for them to win. He wasn't playing in any of the games, and he never bet on player props or anything of that sort. It was just for Indiana to win. Obviously, you can't do that still, but he was not, betting against his team. He wasn't, throwing the games, being the quarterback or anything like that. And then secondly, we found out that Sorsby and his legal team were informed the NCAA enforcement staff on May 7th that all of Sorsby's bets reveal no integrity concerns for Brendan. And on May 13th, the NCAA actually agreed with the filing and Sorsby's legal team and most of the stipulated facts given to them by Sorsby's attorneys, stating that the NCAA agrees there is no sort of integrity concerns based off of Sorsby's bets. That's a huge, huge deal. And I think that's something that his team is definitely going to build on top of. Obviously, the NCAA is agreeing that they don't think that his bets reveal any integrity concerns. Jordan, what's kind of some of your thoughts on initially hearing that this past week?
I feel better.
Yeah.
I feel better hearing that. I mean, obviously, there's a problem that needs to be addressed, and he needs to be involved in some type of rehabilitation to, get around that, because betting on hot dog eating competitions and Romanian soccer, come on, there's got to be some underlying problems there. But, I do think that the details of his bets will end up being some sort of saving grace. Because, you think about his integrity. I mean, that's why we're worried about the bets in the first place. Is this guy going to be throwing games? Is he going to be putting his team in situations where he's putting like his dollar and his interest above all of it, right? And like you said, the results from these investigations hasn't really shown that type of energy in regards to the bets. So I think it'll definitely help him, but it's still a very steep hill because it's tough to beat hot dog eating competitions in Romanian soccer, and pulling up to a game and betting pitch for pitch on, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you need help, bro. But the fact that it wasn't as dirty as many people had initially thought when you hear about so many bets being placed, no, I think this is the best of a bad situation for sure.
Yeah, I think you can definitely tell that, and we've talked about this on our show before, that you can tell Brendan clearly, like, this is a legit gambling issue, and according to the NCAA, actually, a gambling addiction is filed under a mental health issue, and the NCAA can actually or cannot actually suspend one of their employees for a legit mental health issue. So the fact that Brendan went to rehab, or he's still in rehab, he should be out of it here pretty soon. I think it was only supposed to be a month long. But the fact that he actually went to rehab, he has a statement from a psychiatrist in this legal filing to back up those claims that he had a legit addiction. It kind of sounds like the NCAA, they're dealing with a true mental health issue with Brendan. He had a true gambling addiction. Over 10,000 bets. That was the original thing. Obviously, it comes out now. He was betting on things like women's doubles tennis and random European countries, Romanian soccer, hot dog eating. This was a true addiction. And I think if it really comes down to the fact that they can prove that this is a true mental health issue, I don't know if the NCAA can really slap him with a suspension as vast as they probably originally thought. I think you might only be looking at a couple games here if it really, really does come down to that. And Sorsby's legal team, which he has the best of the best with Kessler and co. and Scott Tomsett. And there actually was another attorney that was added to the case. I think it was yesterday from Kessler, his attorney group. It was another very high-profile sports attorney. So they are really going after this thing. We'll discuss here in a second maybe a little bit of some bad news in the case with the judge. But based off of this initial discussion we're having, I think it really honestly is in favor of Brendan playing for next year in some capacity, Jordan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The information you just said about NCAA not being able to terminate an employee off of a mental, what'd you say, disorder?
Yeah,
Or-
like yeah, exactly.
Okay, I don't want to mess the phrasing
Yeah.
up, but obviously there's some disorder going on
Yeah.
with that guy, because you look at the stats of his bets, you can't look at that and not think, okay, this guy has a little bit of a problem going on here. Like, it's just not. The NCAA doesn't really have much of a leg to stand on at this point, because how can you look at all of those details and be like, yeah, there isn't a problem happening here. Let's go ahead. And he checked himself in to get some treatment, which is huge in terms of like his case and the details in which it unfolds. I don't really see much. Yeah, like you said, a couple of games, maybe 5.
Yeah.
But the fact that he took initiative and there is an actual problem at our hands right now, I think that he'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, him honestly owning it, he didn't deny it at all. And in that filing, he completely owns the fact that he did have an addiction. I think, and we've discussed this every single time, I think where he finds himself in hot water is the whole Indiana deal, betting on your own team. Like there's clear and obvious, repercussions for that. But if they're tying all the bets together where, and they obviously proved that he wasn't betting against them. He wasn't providing inside information to hurt his own team or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
If they classify it as, yes, he was betting on his own team, but this was just a part of all of it and just all a part of his addiction, were those bets really that much different than, him betting on the Romanian soccer and
Yeah.
whatever he was betting on, all of it, in my opinion, probably is just kind of all tied together. And, does the NCAA view it that way, though? Probably not. Obviously, he was betting on his own team. That's a big no-no. But I think from, Sorsby's perspective, his legal team's perspective, I think that they might kind of just kind of tie this all together and be like, hey, this, and obviously the NCAA agreed there was no integrity concerns. This was all just kind of one big addiction. He's owning it, and he's trying to correct all of that right now, obviously by going to a rehab facility. And he has a psychiatrist on record stating that, yes, he did in fact have a gambling addiction. So I guess we'll just kind of have to see how this goes over the next few weeks or so. But
Hear me out, because while you were explaining that, I kind of had a couple of points here.
yeah,
Do you know off the top of your head when NIL was officially official in the
2021,
when did Sorsby play for Indiana?
2022. So
Okay, yeah, that does
Yeah.
kind of change. I was thinking well, you don't have as many serious motivations for gambling if you're making NIL money. Like, you're literally just doing it for the love of the gambling game at that point,
And and I didn't mean to cut you off or anything,
No, you're
but in that year at Indiana, if you go back to his recruiting history, he only had D2 offers. Like, Abilene Christian was like his biggest offer, I'm pretty sure, and he had a very, very late offer from Indiana coming out of Lake Dallas High School. And this, quarterbacks very rarely get late offers, and especially back then, whenever the signing period was in February, he got an offer from Indiana just like a week before signing day. Obviously, Indiana, they were terrible back then, which, I mean, that also kind of played into the filing too. I can talk about that here in a second. But he got a very late offer to Indiana, goes up there. Obviously, his freshman year, he was a third, fourth string scout team quarterback, and that's when he was betting on his own team. And in the filing, obviously some very legal terms, but he had stated that he most of the time he did those bets because he wasn't playing. He wanted to feel more connected to his team to try to see if they could win. Obviously, who knows if that's true or not. It's kind of funny, honestly, but that was what he stated. I mean, he wasn't playing. He was on the scout team, and Indiana was terrible back then. So it's,
Well, there's an argument to be made.
and he wasn't getting paid. I guess that's back to your original point.
Yeah,
he wasn't
yeah.
getting paid anything crazy at all.
Well, even fast forwarding to present day, there's an argument that can be made that there's less financial opportunity. Well, now let me take a step back. There's less motivation to win financially when cashing in bets in his shoes, rather than it's just for the love of the game. Like, it's just addicted to the dopamine of submitting a bet. Like, I think that's the case more than him actually trying to hit on a 10-leg parlay and make all this money, because what do you need it for? You're making $6 million already.
Yeah.
That's an argument that I would put in, where it's like, this is a genuine addiction because he doesn't need this money that he's putting all of these bets towards. It's just tennis over here, Japanese baseball over here, horse racing back there. Like, it's just for doing it at this point. That's my thing that's sticking out to me. I was going to be like, well, he was broke in Indiana, so him throwing in a couple of bets on behalf of his team, could have been seen as a win-win. You know what I mean? But now it's like, dude, I don't even...
Like, he was
why do I
making-
even have this app? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really just addicted at this point.
Yeah, like, because he was, and it says that his actual NIL amount at Cincinnati for both years he was there, he was making, it was like $900,000 his first year there, and then it was like $1 million his next year there. So he was still betting there. So clearly, just like you said, it was that dopamine rush or whatever it may be. Like, he was making $1 million a year basically. Like, he doesn't need to gamble. You know? So, I don't know. You have any more on that? Just bringing up NIL, I guess.
Yeah, dude. I was just gonna say, like, it's looking a lot better for him.
Yeah.
I mean, when I initially got the news and heard, all of the details about how many bets he was doing, who he was doing it for, the timeline of it all, the attorneys that were involved or not involved, it was looking really shaky. But now it's starting to be like, okay, like, you messed up, but you might still be able to play.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too. I think honestly they probably were feeling really really good, really up until just I think it was 2 days ago, when the judge, because this case the injunction is going to be heard in Lubbock County, and the judge was a Texas Tech graduate judge by the name of Philip Hayes, but he has since then recused himself from the case and was replaced by Judge Ken Curry, who I'm pretty sure he resides in the DFW area, but he is a Houston graduate. So obviously, you'd probably rather have that Texas Tech judge in your pocket right there. But maybe that's why, the Judge Hayes, backed out of the case. Maybe he just didn't want to feel like maybe he, would have been completely non-biased. I'm sure he would have been, but he didn't want to have that tag of if he gives him eligibility, it's only because he's a Texas Tech graduate judge. Bringing in this other judge, hopefully Sorsby still wins the case, but then they can't be like, it was just because it was a Tech judge.
Yeah, I think this was a chess play. You know what I mean? Like, in Sorsby's shoes, you might want, like you said, you might want some hometown representation on that one, but from the judge's perspective, I think it's a lose-lose if you continue to stay on that, because like you said, if he wins, wow, thanks to the Texas Tech judge, looking out for his school, or he loses, what kind of Texas Tech alum are you holding our star quarterback back? We know how the small town politics works, especially with football in Texas, but it just seems like a lot of noise and unnecessary stakes for the Texas Tech judge. I think it's better for the case itself and for Sorsby when he eventually does end up winning. I'm just putting that in there. It'll look better on him because it was with no bias. It was just straight facts on one side, facts on the other. We'll look at the two. No alumnus peeping in and looking at the details. Like, no, this is bam, bam, bam. We'll reach a verdict off of that. I feel good about that too.
Yeah, I think really a lot of people were, comparing it kind of to the Ole Miss Trinidad Chambliss situation, which, Trinidad was completely out of eligibility, but filed that injunction in the city of Oxford in the state of Mississippi, and it was heard by an Ole Miss judge, and obviously SEC ball, I will say, is it's a little bit different.
The Mississippi politics are different, man. Like, you'll get the mayor coaching one of the football teams at this point.
And as we saw, Trinidad, he got that extra year. So maybe some integrity, here in Lubbock with Judge Hayes, kind of stepping aside and making sure, there wasn't potentially any issues with biases and stuff like that. But probably, probably felt better, I guess, if you're Brennan, having a Texas Tech judge. But, I think he does have a pretty good case on his hands. I think he still has a chance to win this injunction, even with a different judge.
I think that's the caveat of this whole thing is like, it'd be nice, but at this point, you don't even need that. Yeah. Like, just pull up with the facts that you got and let it work for you.
Yeah. And that first hearing of that injunction actually will be on June 1st here in Lubbock County at 9 in the morning. So
can the public attend?
I don't know. That's if they can. I think
pull up with the credentials. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we reporting. Reporting live.
Yeah. So
who knows?
June 1st, potentially some fireworks could be going off here in Lubbock, but. That'll kind of wrap up our Brennan Sorsby discussion. We'll definitely keep you updated on that as we advance throughout these next couple weeks or so before that first injunction hearing on June 1st. Yesterday, though, Texas Tech basketball added another piece to their roster for next season. A freshman, Trayton Hall, goes by Trey Hall from North Crowley and North Fort Worth. They actually just won the state championship this past season, and Trey was arguably their best player on that whole entire team. Very good two-way player. He's a 6'7" wing, averaged 15 points per game, 9 rebounds, and averaged 2 steals and 2 blocks per game. Wasn't very highly recruited. He did have another offer from Purdue, which obviously Purdue is a very high-profile basketball program, but those were by far, honestly, his 2 biggest offers, kind of under-the-radar type of player. I think that this is a great add to the back end of your roster, potentially someone who could be around your 9th or 10th guy on your rotation next year. But Trey Hall has definitely some very high upside to his game, and I think he definitely could be a contributor here for Texas Tech over the next couple of years.
We need it. We need it. We need it. We need it. We need it, bro. Just keep bringing in people
And he
to
has
help.
size. He has size too.
Yeah, 6'7". You're averaging 15 and 9 block. Wait, no.
15 and 9, and then 2 blocks and 2 steals.
Yeah, that sounds good. We can
Yeah.
make that work.
Yeah.
We can make that work, baby. I'm just glad to hear someone visit like coming into town instead of leaving. Like it's so awesome to be on this side of it. You know, it's like, damn, we're finally being treated like a great basketball school once again.
For sure.
Great news.
Yeah, and hopefully, we are obviously still in on Momo Faye. He is playing in the playoffs, though, for his French squad. They're in the top league in France, and his team made the playoffs, and he is obviously one of their best players. So probably won't hear a decision on his end until their playoffs are finished with, but Texas Tech still seems to potentially be in a very good spot there. He would be obviously massive add to this roster. He is a true 5 that if you add him into the mix, now you're really talking about a very good team here with Texas Tech. But that's kind of really all the portal updates we got as we kind of really head into our Texas Tech softball discussion. Obviously, when we started the show, Texas Tech, they were winning 4-1. Don't have the live score, or sorry, 2-1. I was thinking it was in the fourth.
Man, we
inning.
got another one.
No,
wow.
No, 2-1. It was in the 4th inning. So we'll have to get an update here in a second. But heading into this super regional, we actually do have a live show tomorrow at Golf Suites for game number 2. Fans, make sure to come out to that. And potentially, if Texas Tech wins this game 1, they could be looking to already make the College World Series tomorrow at 11 a.m. So make sure to come out to that. But as we recap the regional round, obviously they beat Marist handily, and then game 2, one of the most incredible sporting events of this whole entire year. I would imagine this probably gets nominated for like an ESPY or something for what went down in that 7th inning, down 8-0 to Ole Miss with 2 outs and their last strike. And Texas Tech, they came all the way back. Jordan, you were videoing that game. What was your thoughts sitting there videoing and everything that just happened in that inning?
Dude, I could take another 30 minutes talking about this. So I was freelancing, operating the camera in center field, and throughout the entire tournament, I was at that camera. For that particular game, in that situation where it's an 8-0 game, 2 outs in the 7th, everybody in the control room is just wanting them to get this out so we can, go and maybe grab a bite to eat, start cleaning up a little bit, and just be done, right? Then Texas Tech starts stringing along these hits. A couple of people walk, and from my perspective, I'm operating the camera that's more zoomed in at the strike zone, so I'm not necessarily seeing where the ball is going when it's hit.
Yeah.
I know that we got 2 outs, and I see on multiple occasions, ground balls out to third base. The third baseman at Ole Miss has been killing the entire time. Like, she was great. So every time I see a ground ball go off the screen towards third base, I'm thinking that's the game. And then I just hear this crowd pop, and I start seeing that we're actually on base. Oh, now the bases are loaded. Wait, hold up. It's a 4-point game. It's a 4-run game.
Yeah.
Allred steps up to the plate and just smacks it. Oppo. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Crazy.
And it was such a blessing to be able to document that moment because that was legitimate history.
It's history. Yeah.
600 plus teams have been in that same situation and just weren't able to pull it off. Because, if you think about it, the sport of baseball, you know how much you need to go right consistently to pull off what Tech did? Yeah. There was like 7 batters that needed to get on base
and get a hit.
And they're in a row as well. Like, you talk about being down, 8 runs with 2 outs in the last half inning. Anybody looks at that and it's like no rally can surpass that. Nah, after the first home run by Panel, was that? No, was it Lise?
Jackie Liz.
Liz, sorry.
Yeah.
After her home run, that's when the tone started to kind of change a little bit in the headset. They're like, holy crap, like, what's going on here? Like, a little bit of life from Texas Tech. Then the next people started to get on, and it's like, holy shit. Like we could be cooking with something, right? Didn't even let us get all of our predictions out before you hear the smack from Lauren Allred's bat taking it over, and you see Kennedy cheering in the bullpen while it's happening. Like, it was just an insane thing to be a part of, dude, and I'll hold that one high. I almost got logged off by a home run ball earlier in that game too. One of the Ole Miss players hit a home run ball right at me, went off the lift that I was on. But, dude, no, that was a extremely memorable weekend, and I had so much pride in Texas Tech that day, because that's just like the epitome of who we are. Like, sometimes regrettably, most of the time we play down to our competition, right? So we're used to seeing just one-off games where we're just not playing characteristically. So we're ready to just throw that one away. And then the bats just come alive in the most dramatic way possible to get us the win. Yeah. You kidding me? Like, nah, that was insane, bro.
Yeah, that stat you'd mentioned earlier, teams were 0-640 in the history of softball regionals since the year 2000, down 8 or more runs. And the Texas Tech Lady Raiders came all the way back and won that game in extra innings. And they even went down again in extra innings, 9-8, and had to come back again and score 2 runs to cut back from that deficit too and win the game. So this team has just been resilient. They are so talented, and just seeing the fact that they put together that comeback. And I want to shout out Desi Spearman for getting the walk to load the bases for Lauren Allred to hit that game-tying grand slam.
Dude.
Just an amazing – one of the craziest things I've ever seen in sports. And then obviously they face Ole Miss in the championship game, and then they just blow them out 14-2. Will, were you going to give us a score update?
Yeah. Top of the fifth, 7-1, 2 outs.
Tech winning 7-1. There you go.
Speaking of the bats coming alive.
When he started the story, they got an extra.
Yeah, the bats coming alive down there. Yeah, okay. Hell yeah, man.
And I saw this stat too, actually during today's game when we were watching it earlier. They were only the 3rd team in regionals history to score double-digit runs in every single game in the regionals. So we're 3 runs away from scoring double digits again. It just speaks to how good this team and this lineup is. And Caitlin Terry was on the mound in that championship game. She was great. And, I think that, really as we head, now in this Florida series, obviously Florida, one of the best teams in the country at number 6 overall. We knew how tough this series was going to be. They have 7 girls with at least 8 home runs this season, kind of similarly to Texas Tech. Probably, the depth isn't nearly there like ours is. We know how deep our squad is and what we got in that transfer portal, but very, very good team, and they have been battle-tested in the SEC all year with home field advantage, but today hasn't been much of an advantage for them. And they do have one of the best pitchers in the country in Keegan Rothrock, who is 29-6 this year with a 2.43 ERA. But hey, the Lady Raiders have tagged on her today, and she really earlier on in the game today had given a first hit by pitch on Mia Williams. I think that one might have been intentional.
I didn't see it, but it sounded like it, yeah.
And a couple of walks that led to the runs that we saw as scores. So, I think that's what Texas Tech has done so good. And I think what was so cool about that championship game too is obviously we hit home runs, a lot of the time in every single game, but we scored 14 runs with no home runs. All base hits, all walks, sacrifices, everything of that sort. So the fact that they're getting it done kind of in a small ball type of way, knowing that we can also hit 5 home runs in a game if we need to also, that's the type of offense with how good our pitching is that can go win you that national championship, Jordan.
Dude, at this point, the only team beating us is Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Honestly, dude, like we got so much talent on the roster, so many people that are capable of just putting the team on their back, such great coaching from Jerry. Like, the only thing at this point that'll mess us up is a literal perfect game from the opposing team on both sides, or we just mess up. You know what I mean? We just make a mistake. Yeah,
which that's kind of what Ole Miss in that game too. Their pitcher, I mean, she basically I think it was like a 2-hitter at that point. Like amazing pitching performance, and we just couldn't hit her. And then for some reason, I mean, we just turned on that switch But like you said, Ole Miss had played a perfect game up until that point, and we just made the historic comeback.
Yeah, and it's so tough, to put yourself in the shoes of the coaches of Ole Miss, because obviously you're watching 8 runs touch the plate in front of you in one inning. You got to get somebody else in there, right? But it was such a great performance up to that point. Like, you can't help but, and she's only needing one more out.
Yeah,
she only needs one more out. She needs one more out, and then all of it is justified, right? Doesn't matter if it ends 8-7, right? But she had such a great game leading up to that point. It's hard to just be like, all right, you were cooking earlier.
To get the win. Yeah.
Definitely, 1,000%, dude. And that would have been, one of the craziest upsets ever, to happen on Lubbock's field. A regional in which you know what I'm saying? I don't remember Ole Miss's season in detail, but I know that they weren't like the top SEC teams, right? So, man, that would have been something crazy to kick off the weekend with. But I would say after that second walk, we might need to start getting somebody to get up in there.
Yeah, I think when she walked to load the bases, they should have pulled her. I mean, at that point,
I think that would have been too late.
But honestly, like when Jackie hit the home run.
Now it's like, all right, bro, we're not finna mess with this. All right, as a coach, I'm like, all right, now they starting to rally. They got a little bit of momentum. Let me go ahead and switch up the tempo so we can just get these last couple of outs. But no, you're letting the entire lineup essentially tee off on this woman after they done figured out her stuff, and grand salami to tie it up, dude. Like, I don't. It's tough in either perspective, because it was such a great game leading up to that.
I mean, you think about it now, is Texas Tech even playing today if they don't come back from that? Having the fact that they would have had to win 3 more games. They would have had to win a game that night and then play Ole Miss 2 more times and beat them. That would have been tough. That inning, that comeback might have saved Texas Tech's season. And now you're seeing them right now. The fact that they are up in the Super Regional right now too, on the road in Gainesville, you might look back at that moment if they do go on to win a national championship. I mean, that's like a 30 for 30 type of deal. Down 8-0 with 1 strike left in the game, and you come all the way back and win. It was crazy. It was crazy, man. But that'll kind of lead us into our injury report segment, sponsored by the Exceptional Community Hospital. Fans, it's time for this week's injury report presented by the Exceptional Community Hospital. And before we hop in, we just want to take a moment to recognize the Exceptional Community Hospital as a proud sponsor of Campus Live and the Guns Blazin podcast. And be sure to visit their 24/7 state-of-the-art hospital and ER located at 6401 Spur 327 in Lubbock. They accept all insurances and have short ER wait times. Once again, the Exceptional Community Hospital is proud to support this week's injury report on Campus Live. It was really we'd only been missing Loggy. It was great seeing her back in that series. She actually even started that game 2 versus Ole Miss, having that power back to the lineup. And we talk about she has that swag, bro. She just has the charisma. We just saw her get that RBI stink. She was on second base. Dude,
I love it, man. Yeah. I love the type of energy that she brings to the team, dude. It's one of those like you're a glue guy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole team just revolves around you, right? And that energy, that passion that you bring. Fans eat it up. I know I do. And I think she's gonna be kind of like the sleeper factor in this team's success. As long as you got Loggy out there behind the plate, keeping that energy alive, we'll be fine.
She's a spark plug for sure. And I think heading into our Paving the Way to Victory segment, fans, JSI Services is a proud partner of Campus Live, and be sure to visit their website at jsiservicesllc.com to learn about their asphalt/paving services, earth and dirt works, concrete and gutter paving, crack fill, seal coating, and stripping services. And thank you so much to JSI Services once again for their proud support of the Guns Blazin podcast. Really, we're going to deep dive into it more tomorrow with Game 2 when me and you do the show. But 2 keys I had for me, and obviously this actually is happening today, was getting to Keegan Rothrock early in these games, because she has started, I want to say it was like over 40 games this year. So like she's kind of like Nyjah last year, where she basically pitches in like every game. Like she starts a lot, and getting to her early in these games, and we have done that today, I think is a huge piece. Florida does have two other pitchers with Ava Brown and Miller, who are all very good as well, and I'm sure one of them will probably start tomorrow, but it would not surprise me to see Rothrock come back into these games because she is one of the best pitchers in the country. But my second key, too, was Nyjah and KT kind of coming back into form. KT looked really good in that game, too, but, she kind of got lit up versus Arizona State in that Big 12 championship game. Nyjah has been kind of getting hit a lot recently, and Florida, obviously, a very, very talented lineup. Nyjah has to be on her A game. Because if she is and KT is, I don't think there's a team in the country that can beat you in a best-of-3 series, honestly. Yeah.
I agree with you. I also think that teams are starting to look at Nyjah as, okay, she's human.
Yeah.
We've seen more teams than ever have success on her, and why not us?
Yeah.
So now you're starting to see this heightened level of confidence in batters that are facing Kennedy, as well as just downright success against Kennedy. We're used to seeing her come in and like striking out the side.
Yeah.
Now she's coming in, she might give up a hit or two. She'll get us out of the inning, but yeah, no, she's human, and it's starting to show. But that's when having somebody like Caitlin to come in and take some of that pressure off has just as much respect as Nyjah does there on the hill. So it's like we kind of needed this 1-2 punch to get us through onto the winning rounds, because we, like you said, we were leaning on Nyjah 100% of the time.
Yeah.
100% of the time getting us there. And some could argue that was the one thing that might have gotten in our way, is that we used her too much.
Yeah.
But we didn't have anybody else to throw in there. Now, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see how that unfolds.
Yeah. Now you might have the pitcher of the year in all of college softball with Caitlin Terry with her. So that'll kind of wrap up our softball segment. Once again, fans, make sure to come out to Golf Suites tomorrow for game number 2 in the Florida Super Regional, as Texas Tech is playing the Florida Gators in Gainesville. But our last segment here, talking about the NBA and NHL playoffs. First off, NHL, we can quickly kind of run through. Montreal, they beat Carolina last night 6-2. They were up 1-0 in their series. And then Vegas actually upset Colorado in game 1 of their series, but Cale Makar, probably the best defenseman in all of the National Hockey League, is out for Colorado. So if Vegas were to pull off that upset, that'd be one of the biggest upsets in a very long time, just based off of how good of a season Colorado's had. But both Montreal and Vegas up in those series. In the NBA, the Spurs and Thunder tied at 1-1. Game 1 was a all-time classic.
Yeah.
I think, that game from Wemby was insane. Obviously, the Thunder, they did come back in game 2 and tie it up, but I think this one's probably going 7, Jordan.
I think it goes to 7.
Yeah.
You know how the old heads talk about watching Michael Jordan back in the day, like how he was just this enigma that was just like you just can't deny him. I think that's how we're gonna end up speaking on Wemby.
Probably,
I remember when he first got into the league, like he was he was just baptizing people left and right, pulling up from 30, to
crazy
to win the game. Like, no, this is insane basketball that we're watching, and good ethical hoops. That's my favorite phrase when it comes to good basketball. Just good ethical hoops, man. We don't have anybody trying too hard. We don't have, narratives that are just peeking in. Yeah, we don't have the flops or any of that going on, man. Well, we still got a little bit with Shea, but he's toned it down just a little bit. Yeah, no, this is a great, like, everybody's eating good these playoffs. Even on the other side with Cleveland and New York, those are some good hoops happening over there too. I do see New York coming out of the East, but it's who you got waiting on you on the West side. You know what I mean? Like, you got Wemby or OKC in terms of like who you play. Like, it almost feels like that should be the finals matchup. Yeah. Because, that's just how the dice rolls.
And maybe for the Knicks, because they swept both of their first 2 series, didn't they? So now they're up 2-0 again. If they head into the finals 12-0, that's a crazy run. But did they sweep that?
They swept Philly.
Did they sweep the first series, Will?
Who did they even play?
They played the Hawks.
No, they didn't sweep them. I was going to say they went to 6.
Still, if they're 12-2 heading into that's a pretty dominant stretch there, and you might be facing kind of a beat up if this does go 7, I'm not saying the Knicks have a chance like to win the finals. I'm saying
Why not?
I'm saying they could potentially extend this thing maybe to 6
He
games.
said, "Let me be real. They ain't winning, but it'll be a nice situation." No, I want to see New York upside down.
Yeah,
I want to see the streets of New York inflamed when they win.
I think that if they whoever they face is going to be beat up. This series, I mean, that game 1 was physical. I mean, and obviously game 2, Hartenstein was like WWE on Wemby all game. So
yeah,
if New York, sweeps Cleveland, and they head into this series kind of be able to rest some guys a little bit. OKC, they have their injuries. The Spurs have had like De'Aaron Fox has been battling an injury. I think Dylan Harper actually he's kind of battling an injury right now too.
Mitchell went out last game too,
and Jalen Williams re-hurt his hamstring. He's questionable tonight. I think the Knicks. Once again, I wouldn't say they're going to win the series, but I think you could see them take 2 games maybe. I mean, Jalen Brunson and Cat are good enough to win you a game or 2.
Yeah, and being in the Garden is its own advantage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Although there is a caveat to that. A lot of opposing players seem to have their best career games in the Garden. Yeah. So we'll see how that ages. But
definitely the Spurs or Thunder winning the finals though. I just wanted to say
it's tough to. I'm gonna hold out some hope. Let me see the first game, maybe see how they play, and then we'll determine it from there. Because we all thought that what was the situation last year
with the Pacers?
Yeah, we thought that the Pacers were gonna get taken out, but they took them to 7.
Yeah.
So it's anybody's series really. These are NBA teams at the end of the day. So we'll give them that credit. All I know is that I love seeing old-fashioned hatred between 2 opponents in the paint with Chet and Wemby going at it. Those dudes don't like each other. No. Like it's not
the NBA
for the plot or anything. It's like I want to end your career. Like I'm sick of you. Like the way I see Wemby looking at Chet a lot is like what a waste. Like what a waste of a frame. Like let me really show you. Like let me It's like every time they get on like where they're going back and forth, I'm like this is like a sibling rivalry for real.
Oh yeah. And
so
I mean
cool.
when Wemby dunked on him the other night, he just grabbed the ball and just stared at him. He was like, like bro,
they do not like each other.
You can't hold me. Yeah. But yeah, this should be probably an all-time classic series we have on our hands in the Western Conference Finals, but should be great to see, Jordan.
I agree.
You got anything else to add on that or
honestly? Nah, man. I'm excited to see how Game 3 goes tonight. While you're here, who do you think takes tonight? It's in San Antonio.
Back in San Antonio, I think the Spurs win tonight. I think
closer.
I think with Jalen Williams' injury kind of up in the air. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper are huge pieces of the Spurs team. If they don't play, I think that definitely changes things too. But I think the Spurs might win by I think maybe 8 or 10 tonight. I think they might come out with a little vengeance, and then you see Game 4 swing back the Thunder momentum. Maybe they take Game 4, but I think tonight, it's the Spurs night tonight.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if OKC won.
Yeah,
I think because Wemby started that new thing in San Antonio. He's beating the drum at the beginning of the game. Is that the beginning?
I think it's after they win. I think.
Okay.
They do
Either way, Wemby has brought such a reinvigorated winning spirit, almost reminiscent to the Tim Duncan age, you know what I'm saying? Of just we can do this, you know what I'm saying? We're coming through and we're in the Western Conference Finals already. I say they start off quick. I think they get them a good 10-point cushion, hold it for the majority of the game. Maybe the Thunder bring it to within 6, but I don't see them winning tonight. I think it's the Spurs. Yeah.
What about you, Will? What do you got?
I got the Spurs pulling it off. I don't have anything for the Thunder. No hope at all.
Not even a little drizzle. Not even rain. Not.
I don't want to put that out in the air. I feel like the Knicks, if the Cavs can get them to a 2-2, that would be the best possible hope. Other than that, they might get swept. Unfortunately, I want James Harden to get him a ring, but
playing in Cleveland's a lot different though.
It is.
You know.
Yeah. I really feel like whoever comes out of the West is going to win.
Yeah.
But we still got to have that hope in the air.
Yeah.
And like you said, I really miss the teams having hatred for each other.
Yeah, bro.
Wemby, Chet, like I don't feel like Chet hates Wemby as much as Wemby hates Chet, but
It's obvious.
Yeah.
It shows.
You
Yeah.
can't avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wemby has enough hatred for the both of them.
Yeah. Well, that'll kind of wrap things up here in the Miller Waldrop Studios. It was a great episode, and thank you guys for tuning in once again. And make sure you follow, like, share, and subscribe wherever you see our content on Campus Live TTU or the Guns Blazin podcast, as well as thanking all of our sponsors once again for the continued support of Campus Live and the Guns Blazin podcast. And lastly, remember that Campus Live is your one-stop news source for all things Texas Tech and Lubbock.
Wreck 'em.
From Miller Waldrop Studios, this is Campus Live.